I am absolutely thrilled for this one, you guys, because we are diving into an absolute legend of the Florida landscape. We're talking about the blue porterweed. It's a plant that is practically a superstar when it comes to supporting our local ecosystem. If you're the kind of person who loves seeing butterflies just swarming your yard, or if you're fascinated by how native plants build these incredibly resilient ecosystems, well, you are in the perfect place. We're going to break down the amazing ecological lesson hiding right in plain sight with this native pollinator powerhouse. Okay, so we have a quick agenda up here covering everything from habitat design to proper care, but honestly, I want to jump straight into the good stuff, so we're just going to fly right past this.
All right, Section 1, the pollinator powerhouse and its sequential blooming magic.
Check out this quote because it really hits the nail on the head. Butterflies absolutely love blue porterweed, but before you buy one, check the label. The ecological benefits of this plant are completely off the charts. But there is a major catch at the nursery that trips up so many well-meaning folks. We are going to solve that little mystery in just a moment, but first, let's look at exactly what makes this plant such a workhorse. Let's do a rapid-fire overview of why this native is a genuine 5-star addition to your garden. First off, its botanical name is Stachytarpheta jamaicensis. Try saying that 3 times fast. It is a true Florida native belonging to the verbena family. It absolutely loves full sun, but, it'll totally tolerate partial shade, which makes it incredibly versatile for your yard. It has this great low-spreading habit, usually staying right around 1 to 3 feet tall. And crucially, its butterfly value, an easy 5 out of 5 stars. Once it's established, it is highly drought-tolerant and salt-tolerant. Basically, it's a low-maintenance superstar that actually thrives in the exact conditions that make Florida gardening so tough. And here is where the magic happens, sequential blooming. Instead of blowing all its energy on one massive, short-lived bloom, it goes flower, then another flower, then another. It produces these long, thin spikes where tiny, electric blue flowers just pop open one after another, continuously. It acts as a long-duration nectar station, so instead of a 2-week feast, your local pollinators are getting a reliable, all-you-can-eat diner that stays open nearly year-round in warmer climates. Moving right along to Section 2, the botanical name trap. Because, spoiler alert, not all porterweeds are equal. So picture this, you're at the nursery. The crucial question is, do you casually ask for blue porterweed, or do you specifically ask for Stachytarpheta jamaicensis? Our core mantra here is that common names are simply not good enough anymore. Nurseries sell multiple different plants under that porterweed umbrella, and many of them are non-native species, like Stachytarpheta cayennensis, which look frustratingly similar to our native plant, but have very different ecological implications. Using that botanical name is literally the only absolute way to ensure you're getting the true Florida native. And this botanical mix-up? It builds into a much bigger, much more serious conservation story, hybridization. When you plant a non-native porterweed anywhere near a native population, they can crossbreed, and that leads to the genetic contamination of our native populations. This is a really sophisticated lesson for us as habitat builders. You see, an ecological threat isn't always as obvious as a bulldozer clearing a forest, or some wildly invasive vine choking out a canopy. Sometimes the threat is super subtle, almost microscopic. It's the quiet, slow genetic dilution of our native ecosystems. So how do we avoid this? Section 3, spotting the true native and the visual differences to look for. Let's break down this stark visual contrast. The native Stachytarpheta jamaicensis is characterized by lower growth. Think of a much more spreading or prostrate habit, and relatively smooth-looking foliage. It functions almost like a ground cover or a subshrub. Now, contrast that with the non-native types, which tend to be much taller, standing very upright, with coarser foliage, and they're often capable of reaching several feet high. If the porterweed you are looking at is a towering, robust shrub, it's very likely the non-native imposter. As always, buy from a reputable native plant nursery just to be safe. Next up, Section 4, layered habitat design, or, as I like to call it, building actual plant communities. This approach completely shifts us from simply sticking plants in the ground to actual habitat design. Let's be real, you don't want a yard that's just a tree, a hedge, some mulch, and grass. You want a layered, thriving community. Imagine this. Step 1. You plant a gorgeous orange tubular firebush as your top canopy at 5 to 8 feet. Step 2. You drop down to an American beautyberry at 3 to 6 feet for your mid-layer. Step 3. You add a kunti as a low shrub around 2 to 3 feet. And finally, Step 4. Our native blue porterweed slides right in perfectly as that crucial 1 to 3 foot ground cover layer. Boom! You have just provided nectar, fruit, larval host plants, and structural shelter, all in one beautiful, multi-layered vertical space. All right, Section 5, proper care, finding the right plant and applying the right maintenance. Like we mentioned, this is a tough, Florida-adapted survivor. Full sun to partial shade, you got it. And while the more sun it gets, the stronger it flowers, it's also fantastic for those transition zones where the lawn meets the oak canopy. Once established, it only needs low to moderate water. It laughs at heat, sandy soils, and coastal salt. What you do not want to do is baby it. Avoid excessive nitrogen fertilizer. We want healthy flowering here, not 3 feet of overly lush, floppy foliage. Also, just keep in mind that farther north, it acts as a warm climate perennial. It might die back during a winter freeze, and you know what? That is perfectly okay. It will regenerate. Now, what about weekly hedge trimming? Actually, scratch that. It's the completely wrong maintenance strategy. Just like with our other native shrubs, these plants have natural architecture. Native porterweed wants to spread horizontally. If you go out there and constantly shear it into a little green cube, you are quite literally cutting off all the flowers, which entirely defeats the purpose of planting a pollinator powerhouse in the first place. Occasional pruning is totally fine, but please, put down the hedge trimmers. When you do plant it, try using this strategy, 3 + 5 + 3. One porterweed is definitely interesting, but planting them in irregular mass groupings like this, that creates a sweeping landscape. This massing ensures you have high enough flower density for a stunning visual impact, and it acts like a massive magnet for pollinator activity. Just imagine these repeating blue accents beautifully contrasting against the bright orange of a firebush or the yellow of a blanket flower. Which brings us to our final section, our plant library, via Varia's native lessons. Let's look at how this fits into our broader landscape philosophy. The firebush teaches us to feed Florida wildlife. The horizontal cocoa plum teaches us to stop turning every single shrub into a boxy hedge. The American beautyberry teaches us to let our landscapes actually have seasons. And today, the blue porterweed has taught us perhaps the most critical lesson of the whole shebang. Know what you are actually planting. Common names can totally trick you. The specific genetic species you choose to put in the ground matters just as much as how you maintain it. So I want to leave you with this final thought. What native plant are you going to add to your habitat next? Now that you know how to navigate that sneaky nursery label trap, and you know how to design layered, thriving plant communities, you literally have the power to transform your space. I warmly invite you to explore our full Via Varia plant library to keep this exciting journey going. There is just so much more to learn, and every single plant has a fascinating story to tell. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy planting!
Seek knowledge with curiosity. Explore the varied path at viavaria.co.